What? Oh, okay. Well, Scott took care of it. He asked me to do it. Well, good morning. Scott asked me to fill in for him for this week. Look at this one. Okay. So we've been studying about God, and last week we looked at Jesus, the man, and went through a lot of proofs and scriptures saying that Jesus was a man. Okay. This week we're going to look at Jesus is the Son of God. So was he man or was he God? Yes. Good answer. Yeah. Is Jesus God in a human body or is Jesus a man with a hotline to God? And the answer is, Mike? Yes. I'm going to start off. No, I'm not. I'll start there. Who says that Jesus is the Son of God? God. Jesus. Who else? Peter? Paul? Mary? What? Peter, Paul, Mary? Where's Butch? No, he's not here. Okay. So we look at the text here, and we start out with John the Baptizer, and John. I'm thumbing through the book, so excuse me. John started out in John 1:20. He said, this is John's words. He did not fail to confess, but confessed freely, I am not the Christ. All right, that's John, the baptizer. And farther on down it says in 26, John said, I baptize with water. John replied, but among you stands one who you do not know. He is the one who comes after me, the thongs of whose sandals I am not worthy to untie. Okay? So John pretty much makes it very clear, I'm not it. The text begins here in John 1:29. The next day, John saw Jesus coming toward him and said, look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. This is the one I meant when I said, a man who comes after me has surpassed me because he was before me. You have to read that one a few times to understand that one, because he got it all tangled up. But it makes sense. I myself did not know him, but the reason I came baptizing with water was that he might be revealed to Israel. Okay? Then John said, gave this testimony, I saw the Spirit come down from heaven as a dove and remain on him. I would have not known him except that the one who sent me to baptize with water told me, the man on whom you see the Spirit come down and remain is he who will baptize with the Holy Spirit. I have seen and I testify that this is the Son of God. Okay, so there's John when he first said. Would also like to add Let's go back. Let's bounce over to Matthew 3. And similar account. Matthew 3, 16, 17. This is the baptism of Jesus. John didn't want to do it. He said, I'm not worthy to baptize you. Jesus said, yep, you need to do this. I need to be baptized by you, and let it be so now, for it is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness. Okay. 16. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water, and at that moment heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending on him like a dove and lighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Okay. Not only John, but who? Who? God. God the Father. Okay. While we're in Matthew, let's bounce over to 16, Matthew 16. And this is Peter's confession. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" So he's asking their opinion of who do the people say. Now the people would be not only his followers, but those interested parties who would took the time and effort to come hear him speak, come hear him teach, followed him. Whether they be earnestly seeking the truth or at least just curious bystanders. Okay. They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, others, Jeremiah or one of the prophets." So Jesus asked, "But what about you? Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will have been loosed in heaven." So John the Baptist, Peter, Paul, Matthew 13:33. Matthew 33, Jesus was praying. He walks across the Sea of Galilee, and Peter got out of the boat. Peter and Jesus had a really close relationship. I see a lot of Peter in ourselves, because we just sort of speak. We just sort of jump out there sometimes without thinking. And Peter said, when they saw him walking on the water, said, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. And Peter got out of the boat. That's brave. He's a fisherman. He's been in the water in a boat, not in the water. Well, maybe in the water, but on the water in a boat. So he got out of the boat, walked on the water, and came to Jesus. He saw the wind. He was afraid, and beginning to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith, why do you doubt?" When they had climbed into the boat, the wind died down, and those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." So this is the apostles. We'll come back to this. So Jesus is not the Son of God because he is inferior to God. or because there is a chain of command within the Godhead. He was the firstborn of all creation. It says that repeatedly in the scriptures, in prophecy in the Old Testament, in Colossians. For him, all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth. The firstborn gives the Son the authority to testify to his divinity. We see that we read in scriptures that the winds, the waves, the laws of nature are controlled by Jesus. So he has that power over nature. No one else has power over nature. Only Jesus. He wasn't concerned about the wind or the storms or any other weather-related calamities, animals, nature, none of that. He wasn't even concerned about the infectious diseases of the time, because he touched the sick, he touched the leper, he healed the blind. He made the lame to walk again. He was control over all of nature and all of the natural things that we struggle with in our daily lives. Of course, he made them all. His power to forgive sin, heal the sick, his fulfillment of the prophecies. And we look at the prophecies, and God had been writing these prophecies since the beginning. Since the very beginning, God has been sending all of these prophecies. And I haven't looked them up, but they tell me that there are over 350 prophecies, and each one of those has been fulfilled in the life of Christ. He taught as one with authority. All the other teachers and scribes of the time, hopefully they taught better than I am, but nonetheless, they taught with still questions that they didn't understand. Jesus taught with complete authority, with complete knowledge, with conviction. He was rejected, though, by the religious authorities. Let's go over to Matthew. Matthew 27. Out of the text, Matthew 27 and 39. Okay. 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests and teachers of the law and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe you. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the robbers who were crucified with him heaped insults on him. Okay, so did the Pharisees, did they believe him? No. Why not? Had these Pharisees not investigated his healings? I don't know if they were, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, right. Right. Okay. I mean, I agree with you. If Jesus, my opinion, Jesus had to become man and live a perfect life in order to be the sacrifice to fulfill the law that God put into Moses. Had not Jesus lived the perfect life to be perfect sacrifice, the law would still be in effect. But the law must be fulfilled before we can move on. Okay? Man is not man appears not to be capable of living a perfect life. Jesus did. He is the one exception. Adam couldn't. Adam had it made, pretty much. Believe me, I farm. It's not pleasant. I usually am picking out thorns and briars and everything else and killing weeds, and between briars and barbed wire, I'm scarred up pretty good. But yeah, is man capable of living a perfect life? I don't think so. I don't think so. No. He had the plan of salvation in even before he created us. Terry.
I think if man was created, he had the capacity to live a perfect life, but he didn't have the will.
The spirit was willing, but the flesh is weak.
What have we inherited from Adam when he sinned? Did we inherit a sin nature? I don't think so. I think Romans points out that what we lost in Adam, we gained back in Christ, but we still have the will to sin. Baby has the capacity to be perfect, but not the will. And the baby's worse off than Adam was. If the baby wanted to fall in the world,
True.
Adam lived in a perfect world.
I think what you say, what we inherited from Adam was, and I don't believe we inherited Adam's sin. I believe we inherited Adam's debt.
And even that will be reversed by Christ.
Yes.
Everything will be.
What was lost regardless was a personal relationship with God, and the only way that relationship can be established with God but not alive in the presence of sin, because sin entered as a result of that disobedience. That relationship was lost. Can you imagine Adam, and God walking in the garden
Yeah.
in the cool of the evening?
I love that song, my God and I walking alone.
And then to be separated from that.
I asked Scott last week. He was talking about that no one has seen God and lived, but Adam did prior to the fall. Well, don't you think free will was in existence prior to the garden? It had to be because the angels, 1/3 of them went the other way. Mortal. Yeah. I kind of, right, and that's and Satan didn't. No, no. He is a leader of destruction. I'll give him that, but I won't call him a god.
He's probably spoken, I think, in Scripture as the God of this world. I think that's a euphemism.
Yes.
Just to describe
A God of what? No, no. He overtook it. I think he convinced man to take the fruit of good and evil. He deceived them. He deceived man. He's the liar from the beginning. He rebelled against God, and he took what does it say? A third of the angels with him. But the other 2/3, well, all of the angels had a choice to stay or go, and 2/3 just stayed, and 1/3 went, and Satan goes after those that are weaker than angels. Unfortunately, that's us. So he's not the God. He's not God. He is a leader, just as the Ayatollah is a leader, just like presidents and kings of countries are leaders, but the people don't always follow him. Well, maybe if they get caught, yeah. But God is over all of it. Let's go back to our Venn diagram. Let's go to the universal subset here. And the universal subset is God. And the little circles are Satan. And if you rebel against Satan, you're with God. If you rebel against God, you're with Satan. And if you don't change your ways, you're going to go in a small circle that's the pool of everlasting fire. Okay. It'd still be in the garden. It'd still be in the garden. But we also know. I'm coming to you. Go ahead.
He gave Eve the opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
I think something we need to touch on is it talks about areas in the text.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's talking about, and I wondered why they even threw that in there.
Witnesses are descendants of Aries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And descendants in the
Yeah, she's Egyptian.
they teach
Who knew?
They teach the same philosophy that Jesus is created being. That's what Aries taught.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to understand that there are modern day preachers, and some of them probably we've read their books, who are also Aries. And we have a whole group of people that go by the term apostolic, and many of them are Arian. And some of them also believe in modalism.
What is that?
Modalism says that in the Old Testament, Gospels, the Father became the Son, and now the Son has become the Holy Spirit. It's very confusing. I'm telling you. If there's a way to twist what the Bible teaches about God and His nature, fallen man will find it.
And probably already have. And that's just it. So come back to the same question. Why did the Pharisees not...
First of all, Jesus actually showed that the Pharisees and the scribes were actually not teaching for God. They were putting on their airs, fancy clothes, and getting personal gratification. He also showed them their false teachings and their misinterpretation of the law, and misinterpretation of God. And it actually made him into Joseph because he was taking away their glory and giving it glory to the Father. So that was one of the biggest reasons they hated him. They didn't, no, he was right, but and he showed them wrong many times. But jealousy and meanness.
They were going to lose their job.
He threatened their position. That's right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It lays out there. All right. I'm going to turn it around one more time.
But the opportunity probably is the result of the fall.
Yeah.
We have to be careful of it.
Okay. Now let me ask you this question though, Terry. Let me ask you this question. How important were the Pharisees in the fulfillment of the gospel? Very important. Why? Crucified. Had the Pharisees accepted him, this is just something to think about. Had the Pharisees accepted Jesus, would they, well, for one, it's a prophecy that they would, because we go back to Psalms 22, and it exactly quotes Matthew 27. Psalms 22 and Matthew 27 are just like bookends of each other. But if the Pharisees had not rejected Jesus, would the Romans have crucified Jesus because the people gathered together to make him a king like David? Or not? Pilate said, I wash my hands of it all. Right. Right.
Here's the thing we have to understand. Okay, we're getting way far from Scripture.
We are.
And what the Bible says is that Jesus was a lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Why was this possible? Because before God even created the world, He already knew that you and I would sin. And even that sweet little Gideon will eventually. And we needed a Savior. And He planned it all
Okay.
Far too much for it.
Even the centurion at the cross stated after the earthquake, after Jesus physically died on the cross, said, surely this was the Son of God. Even the Romans knew that. So, anything else? Questions? I think between man's the different man, John, Peter, the apostles, the Roman centurion, the prophecy, all of this comes together saying Jesus is the Son of God. Even God himself, Jesus himself said that he can do nothing without God. The transfiguration, when God spoke again and with Jesus and a few of his apostles, all of the scriptures go back and point that Jesus is the Son of God. And without that, you got to ask yourself, do you want to believe it or not? Your choice. We still have free will. Like it or not, we still have free will. And, for me, I choose it. Okay, that's all I got today. Next week, Scott will be back. Keep him in your prayer, he and Corey in your prayers while they're in Cuba. And
Has anyone heard from him?
Billy sent some pictures. He said Scott was driving in Cuba, which you pray for the Cubans as well. But okay. All right, next week. Hopefully they'll be back, and I don't know if they'll be teaching from the book or telling about Cuba. Thank you much.